Last night I flicked it and it just worked. Imagine I electrocute myself. All right, well, so tonight's project is WOLFBOX rearview mirror. I already put the adapter plate on. I got the G90 Pro. Visibility in the S2000 is atrocious, especially with the Mugen hardtop on and the wing and then the EVS mirrors. Haven't seen anybody do this on an S2000. I imagine it's like anything else. I open the box, GPS, the power adapter. I did not realize that they do not include the hardwire kit. I don't believe. Nope. Normally this just straps in to the existing mirror. I felt like that was going to be too clunky, and they provide bolts and you screw it right in. Inside there's a universal plate. I think there's some specifications on making sure you buy a particular one that will mount in the current S2000. From my research, they don't use a funky windshield mount, and so I grabbed the one that looked like it was. The S2000 along with the NSX have unique windshield plates, which means that if I want to replace the whole arm assembly for the mirror and make a clean install for the mirror, then I have to, I don't know what to do. So I spent all night researching Reddit, S2KI, ChatGPT. I found one guy who I think opened up his mirror and found an attachment plate and just basically screwed the OEM arm into the bracket for the new mirror. If that doesn't work, then the only other option is to remove the windshield plate, which I'm not going to do, or I guess just strap it on. That's it today. That's the project. Feeling rejuvenated. Got some caffeine. Will drink more caffeine. A little bit better light in here today. So let's get to it. Is that coming out? I want to take this whole mirror off, and it's making it a little more difficult. Oh, I got it. Oh my God. So this mounting piece and this kind of bracket is unique to the world. It only comes in the S2000 and the NSX. See, there's a bracket behind there, and I believe if I find a way to get inside of this bracket, essentially screw it onto this plate. The question is, I don't see any seam that I can break open. It should be worth mentioning that I am not a DIY guy. I put shorts on, ready to rock. We're going to cut just enough to confirm there's a bracket behind here.
You want to,
yeah, we need
go here?
Yeah, but the bracket is behind there, so you can't, you got to cut shallow. Wait, should we put like a cloth down or something? There it is. Okay. Can we peek in there and see? I'm just going to cut this thing open. All right. That works. There it is. It's there, brother. Oh, yeah. So there it is. This is the piece. The plan is to essentially screw this plate onto here. We won't need these screws because this goes to the bracket that came for this. So we're just going to jerry rig this, and then this will go onto this, and then phase one is complete. Damn, I look fucking big right now, boy. All right. I got to get my, there's no shot we're going to get enough prep. I got to like, all right.
Stop moving it.
I'm trying to hold it in place.
Was this fucking SRS calling me?
All right, so WOLFBOX with the aftermarket adapter plate from Amazon, OEM internals. We're gonna see if it fits. There it is.
Holy shit.
I have no room to route these wires. Well, so this was the start of a long battle between trying to plug in the wires on the WOLFBOX, which insert on the top of the mirror, and the plastic trim piece. So just to save hours of footage, we spent 90 minutes messing with it, only to inevitably have to go back to the drawing board. So I'm dripping. This shit was not worth it. Shout out to Baby Powder for always keeping me dry. Alex, tell us about your little...
What I did is I took a putty blade, cut it in half, made a little janky bracket for now to kind of go off of that to offset the difference at Zach.
There wasn't enough clearance for the cables up top to fit, so we had to move the OEM bracket higher. Well, it's a little janky right now, but let's just see if it fits. Also got these little blind spot mirrors. I feel like it's kind of taboo to get these, but what do you say? Is this tacky? We have the OEM bracket, stripped mirror. There wasn't enough room to get the cables. So we raised the bracket, or we raised the OEM bracket. We have a little, like, basically a plastic piece here to attach the WOLFBOX adapter to this. Now, eventually, I don't know how yet, we'll clean this up, but for now, because this is there's so much play in this. Right now, put it up like that, and boom. Is anyone gonna... It's not terrible, industrial. I'm satisfied. I'm also pissed. I found a little bit, see that ding there? Like, what the fuck, dude? So, now I've got these two USBs, one for power, one for camera. I'm gonna plug them in, hopefully they fit. And I'm gonna start routing the power cord down to the fuse box. And then we gotta figure out the camera on the rear glass, or if I'm gonna put it to the license plate. All right, so took a little break. We're back at it. For the fuse kit, I bought a Wolfpack add a fuse. I used the ACG and the radio. I forget what numbers they are, 8 or 24, but there's a diagram right by your feet. ACG radio. I used the ACG for the yellow wire, which is constant on, thanks to ChatGPT. And I used the red wire at the radio. And I've got my ground wire routed there, so I'm gonna plug these up. There it is, world's smallest screwdriver. Camera's up. I was trying to figure out where I was gonna, I like the visibility, the wider angle of putting it inside. General driving, I like to know where I'm at. So they gave a bracket for the back and they gave this extra bracket for the inside mount. So I'm gonna put a sticky thing right here. First, I gotta decide how tight I want this because this moves. I'm gonna put this back and look at my positioning, tighten the bolts, and then put the sticky shit on. And then we just got to clean up the wires and all that stuff. This wire is for the brake. I'm not going to do the reverse lights. I'm kind of lining it up with the center of the roll cage. That's the kind of neat that this bracket's really neat. You can get pretty versatile. I'm kind of using the wing. I'm going to tighten that here. I can't believe I've done this whole project with like a micro... There are much higher quality and better produced review videos on the WOLFBOX mirror, so I'll keep this brief. But for my S2000 guys, the bracket system was a pain in the ass, and hopefully if you're thinking about going through with the installation, that this part of the unknown of how to mount the camera without the straps was helpful. I was impressed, and am happy that I went through with it. I think the night quality and day quality is miles ahead of having to use a rear view mirror for me and go through the low visibility of the hardtop as well as the roll cage and any other obstructions. I wasn't as prepared for it being a 2.5K on the rear. I just didn't look at that information. The front camera is really good visibility, or really good quality, I should say. The rear camera is 2.5K, so it's not as clear, but you know, we're splitting hairs at that point. It does look really good, and I was surprised with the angle. And at night, you can see, even with the vibration from where my GoPro is mounted and some vibration from the camera in idle, that it does offer more visibility than I could have achieved anywhere else. My only regret, just for content purposes, is that I did not go with the interior cam. So there's another version, I think the Tri, that has dash cam, rear cam, and interior cam, which I felt like if you're spending the money, you might as well splurge on that. But happy, love it, glad that I can see.